Alright my friends, welcome to the 11th video of this CSS complete tutorial series. Last class we talked about static position, and we said that static position is the default browser positioning, default element position. All elements by default they are static on your web page. So what is relative there? Relative allow us to move an element relative to its normal static position. So this is what we have. Element moves relative to its normal static positions. So it means that it allows us to move an element relative to its normal static position. What does this mean in coding? Let's go right there into our coding class. So we have here as static. So if we say, for instance, we change this static to relative, sorry, all right, we have the here to be relative. So all these elements, they are relative right now. If, for instance, let me move one of the elements, since all these elements are relative. First of all, let me just take this container off, and then so let's just style the element directly. So let's take all this container off. So we have here, so by default all of them are relative. So if I say dot box one, I told you before from the last class that once you position any of the elements relative, any of the elements, you can use the top, right, left to move the element around. So if I say, for instance, left 23 rem, what will happen? You see that this thing moves to the right, which means it keeps spaces right here. Okay, let's say it is too much. Let's just say 3 rem, which is that, and then let's say top 7 rem. You see that it moves downwards. Now what am I saying? In the sense that when you position an element relative, and we say that from our right up right here, we say element position relative to its nearest element moves relative to its normal place, meaning that when you position an element relative and then that element moves out of that position, no element takes in that place at all, because it is relative to its normal position. That means it doesn't allow any other element to occupy that space, because it could come back to that space. I don't know if you understand. So if you move this box 1 out of its position, that space is empty. No element would occupy that space because it is relative to its normal space. That means that space is preserved. That space is preserved. So if we move box 2 around as well, we say box 2, and then we can move box 2 to the top or down. You can say 4 rem. So you see that box 2 came down to 4 rem, while that space is still there. So the note of it is that whenever you position an element relative and then you move that element from that position, that initial position that you move the element from, it is still kept. No element occupies that place. All right, thank you, my friend, and then see you in the next class.